Hi everybody, TheHande here, and welcome to another Finland video. And my apologies if I seem a bit sweaty. It is very hot in Finland right now. So in today's little Finland video, I decided I wanted to do something that I've been planning to do for a very long time and react to or watch and commentate on the Geography Now video on Finland. Geography Now is this great channel that's been going on for many years where this guy called Barby does little info package videos on all the countries in the world in alphabetical order, or rather the English alphabetical order. And because of that, he did a video on Finland, it says 4 years ago. I think it's longer than that, but anyway, this is one of my favorite channels. I'm subscribed to it. I love watching it. Obviously, I'm a geography teacher as well, so that's another reason why I like it. And let's just say that over the years, the videos have gotten quite much bigger and quite bloated at times. And because Finland was one of his older videos, the production qualities are a little bit in some places not as good. I do think that this was already in the pretty decent period for Geography Now as a channel overall. And I love the video, but I do remember that in the video, Barbie made a few mistakes regarding the video. So first of all, this is not going to be a full reaction video. You're not going to see the whole video. I would recommend just going and watching the full video first before hearing my opinions on it. I'm just going to highlight a couple of things in the video that I just like, or I have something funny to say about, or then indeed some of the corrections. And indeed, yes, I can now see it. There's a little supplementary video series to Geography Now that's on the same channel that is called Flag Friday. And I think in the Flag Friday episode, Barbie actually addressed, that's usually where they address mistakes that they made in the actual episode, because they do a lot of prep work. It's a very heavy episode. I understand it here. Barbie does a lot of research. So like I said, this is a very good series. I highly recommend watching it. Even if you just have a vague interest in just all the different countries of the world. Right now, I think they're on letter S, actually. So they've gotten pretty far ahead. So yeah, that's basically what I'm going to be doing in this video, just commenting on it, and let's get to the video. So a little thing before we even get started is that before people get questions about the setup that I have here, that why do I have my little headset microphone up here? This microphone does not work. The actual microphone I'm speaking into is actually down here off camera that I'm not gonna even bother showing. So as I'm doing this, like this does absolutely nothing. So now let's finally get into the video. And to answer, I actually watched a lot of other people react to this video, and the question that almost always comes up is like, is Barbie from Finland? That's why he has such good relationship? No, Barb is American Korean, and I think he has some French heritage as well. He speaks French at any rate. Okay, but this next part, this is actually very good. I like what he says here.
There's a huge difference. That title only belongs to Sweden, Denmark, and Norway.
I've actually thought about making a video about what is actually the difference between Scandinavian and Nordic, and there are some people who would argue that there is no difference, but I think that is both unfair to the actual Scandinavians, and it's especially infuriating for us Finns, because he's going to mention it at some point, and Barbie, never, he's trilingual, but he never pretends like he knows how to pronounce things, and he usually apologizes in all of these videos when he mispronounces stuff. And Finnish in particular is a very bizarre language. It's not difficult to read. It's just very difficult to understand because it's not an Indo-European language. And he actually does, I think, mention it some later on. Every Geography Now video, by the way, has all these separate segments. It has a physical geography section, then kind of a general social geography section, and political geography, then natural geography, and then it goes to demographics, and then the final is the friend zone video.
Gulf of Bothnia, east of all that Scandinavian
Scandinavian stuff. That's a good way of explaining it. So So if you wanted to the most um, narrow definition of Scandinavia would be Norway and Sweden, but Scandinavian is a very complicated term. It means a lot of different things. So when they say 180,000 islands, you got to remember a lot of those islands are very small. So people always get very, all right, Oulu. That's my hometown, and he mispronounced it. He said Oulu. Just a weird little guttural stop there. It's Oulu, 2 syllables, not 3. Tornio. Yes, I lived in Tornio. It's and that's right on the. Actually, yes, the towns of Tornio and Haaparanta are actually connected. And I think is the first real like Oulu. Okay, he had a weird intonation, but he got all the syllables. He got all the sounds right. He just said them very weirdly. This one I don't think he's pronouncing right. Like so the A with the umlauts. In Finnish, that's an sound, so as in cat or hat or pat. And in Finnish, when you have just a regular a, it's as in car or bar or tar. So first of all, that's not a Finnish word though. The name of this island is clearly Swedish. So I'm not entirely sure. A Finnish person would look at this and he would say Märket, but I think it's a Swedish name, and in Swedish, that e letter will sometimes pronounce an e sound. So maybe it's Märket Island, or if it's really Swedish, if it's like high Swedish, might be even Märket. I'm not sure. So like as in merchant. So, which I guess is where the word market actually kind of comes from. Yes, Åland, and I've talked about this in my flag videos actually. So. That A with the O over it is what in Finnish we call a Swedish O. And the reason that letter exists in Swedish, it is in the Finnish alphabet as well, but we only keep it because all the old cities in Finland, so none of the ones that were formed during the 20th century, but all the old cities in Finland have second Swedish language names because Swedish is the Finland's second language. And in Swedish, the regular O can sometimes be pronounced as an U sound, so like a U. So in order to avoid confusion for some words so that people would not pronounce certain words with an O in them as a U by accident, because Swedish obviously has a lot of different dialects and things. I think this is the reason why this letter even exists. So that is in Swedish, that is like an all universal purpose. You only ever say the O sound with that. And Åland is the name that has stuck with. So it's not Åland. Never ever say Åland. Actually, that's the thing that really gets my piss to a boil about like the Thor movies, because everybody says Asgard, but it's supposed to be Asgård because it has the it has that Swedish O in the is the second A that people always pronounce. Anyway, but this is not actually the name of this place in Finnish. In Finnish, we call this Ahvenanmaa, which is the oh god, it's the name of a fish. So I think it's Troutland, which I'm sorry, yeah, that does not sound very, it does not sound like very very. Flattering. I think there was a mistake. He originally, because Åland was annexed during the Napoleonic Wars, and originally I think Barby might have had the Soviet flags there, so he replaced them with the Russian flag because it wasn't the Soviet Union yet.
Time to move on. It's not me. It's you.
I have to say, I really, really love the skits that they do on Geography. Now, they do really, really good skits. I'm a bit annoyed that no one has done, like, a compilation of all the different skits that they do.
Like Savonlinna, Hamenlinna, Olavinlinna, and the most renowned Suomenlinna. You can probably guess what...
Yeah, Linna, not Lina. He puts so much emphasis on the L and the I, and in Finnish, it's like, the L is almost not like a sound, it's Linna. So, more emphasis on the double N's. There's a reason we put 2 N's in words in Finnish. So yeah, Linna.
Culture with landmarks such as the Tampeli Aukea Church excavated into a
Like, I will say, like, he does pronounce most of the words very well, in my opinion. So I know I'm busting his balls about the Linna, but yeah, Barby actually is doing a really good job.
In the world. I mean, Canada's cool, but they have too many bears, and Iceland is too explodey, and Russia is too cold. Seriously, though, the land is generally.
Like I said, those comedy bits are really great. I love those. I really wish somebody would make just like a really good.
Is in Norway. However, in 2017, Norway plans to give Finland the peak.
All right, so this is the question that came up on the 27th, and I think they addressed this in the Norway episode eventually. That the Norway was supposed to give Finland the peak of Mount Halti, and here's the other thing, because I've seen this lie about Finland having mountains, and Finland does not have mountains. We have large rocky formations which are called fells. The Finnish word for that is tunturi. And in our own estimation, fells are way too low to classify as mountains officially. So if you go to Finland and you start asking people about the mountains, you're gonna get a lot of confused looks because we do not have mountains. We do not have, and also mountains are parts of mountain ranges, and Halti is like part of the Scandinavian mountain range. So that's actually where known as the Scandies, which is where Scandinavia actually comes from. So the peak of Halti is in Norway, a little bit of it is in Finland. And so, and about this, like, gift, about them gifting the peak of Mount Halti, what ended up happening was that Norway's own constitution actually makes it illegal to sever parts of Norway in order to redraw a national border, which, to me, that was a load of bullshit, because, it was supposed to be like a symbolic gift. Like, nobody lives there. You couldn't do that. You couldn't take a pencil, do that on the fucking map, and just that kind of red tape garbage is. I really hate when that like stops people from doing nice things. All right, now we come to the swamps. I think this is where one of his mispronunciations happens.
Indisputably the world. Yeah, maybe. But our floods are crazier. Fittingly, the name for swamp in Finnish is suo, and the word for Finland is suomi. I mean, technically, they also have like 9.
All right, so that whole swamp Suomi theory, because nobody knows what the Finnish word for Finland, which is Suomi, actually means or where it comes from. And the Suomi, the theory that it might come from the word swampland. But if you see my like Finnish, Finnish memes video, you know that the word for land is maa and not me. So this theory, it was popular for a little while, but I think it's now been like largely discredited. So again, we don't know. We just don't know where Suomi comes from. It's probably the most likely explanation. It's some kind of proto modern Finnish term that probably just means like either homeland or homestead or something with relating to home. So that theory has been completely debunked.
9 other words for swamp like rame, neva.
Oh. All right, mispronunciation time. And all right, so he's talking about all the different names of the lakes. So the reason we have so many different names for lakes is that swamps is that swamp types and forest types in Finland. Finns are very particular about that because we use that to distinguish what kind of plant life and animal life exists there. So all the names, but he immediately like what I just said about the A with the umlauts. That he said rame and it's rame. That's what you say. And rame, I think, is a very is a kind of a very wet. Actually, I think. Well, that's either a rame or a letto. The picture that he's showing, but rame, I think, is a very wet swamp. Neva, on the other hand, that's a very kind of a dryish swamp. That's where you get these like big open fields of moss, and they look really nice. They look really pretty. But you can sink in them pretty easily. So, but you can actually in Finland you can take there's a lot of places, especially up north, where you can take tours and you go on these like long logs. They create these log roads that you can walk on that don't sink. And Letto, that's the other type. Yeah, this is really bad. I'm supposed to be a geography teacher. I think Letto is where it's almost practically just like water. So that's more like a bayou, basically. I think that's a very close approximation. But Räme is also really wet. Luhta. I don't quite remember. Lähtik. I'm not sure that's an actual name for Lähde. I think that comes from Lähde, which means spring. These are very watery swamps that he's talking about. Apa's the other kind of dryish swamp, and I think I might be getting them mixed up, but I think Apa has a little bit more vegetation. Like there, you're bound to see like a few trees. Neva's the other one, and Korpi actually, Korpi I think already qualifies not so much as a swamp but as a forest type, because and Korpi actually is kind of like a colloquialism for just the wilderness or going out into the woods. So
and they love these swamps. One Finnish pastime is jumping in the mud, sometimes naked, and either playing soccer or wrestling.
This is playing a little bit into tourism stereotypes. But this next part is, yes, this is true about the glacial recovery. Now, in this, when he's talking about the post-glacial rebound, that's a real thing, yes. And I think in the Flag Friday episode, he did put a correction that he said that the amount of land that Finland recovers each year, that it was a little bit too much. So, I used to live near Saimaa, by the way. So, what I've heard is, what I was told as a kid is that we recover about like 1 centimeter of coastline each year. Whether it's like 1 centimeter like in this direction or this direction, like that's whatever. There's memmi. Here's another mispronunciation that happens. I think it's one of the fish. Yeah, no, not just a mispronunciation, but just a misspelling. So that fish it's muikku, not miukku. He did pronounce it correctly. He just spelled it wrong. Reindeer actually is pretty good. Although, funny enough, my brother-in-law, who is from Lapland, he actually doesn't like reindeer. And there was Mämmi. Now, about Mämmi, it is available year-round, but it's actually it's a traditional Easter. It's traditionally an Easter Easter treat. All right, and he really said it very, very quickly, but Urho Kekkonen National Park, Urho Kekkonen obviously is a name, but this actually is the way it's written, which is weird to me because that's a name, that's a guy's name. It's first name, last name. Urho Kekkonen, of course, was our 4th-time president. There's the language bit.
Pronunciation is a mess. Nouns and adjectives have inflectionary forms, whatever that means.
Yeah, he doesn't know what an inflectionary form is.
In Finland, school hours are shorter, less homework is given, and there are virtually no mandated standardized tests apart from the exam you take in your...
Okay, that's an exaggeration. Yes, the Finnish curriculum... This is an older video. Yeah, 2016. Like, it says there's practically no standardized tests. And that's not technically correct. Like, what he probably means when he says that except the matriculation examination, which is the final exam in high school. But yes, obviously, teachers in Finnish schools still do exams. But the Finnish curriculum has been written in a way that your teachers are not actually required to have exams. And I have even tried teaching in a way in the past where I don't have any exams, and instead we do like group projects and things like that. And that stuff is great. The problem is that not all students are very good at that. Some students are just, better with the exam-centric education. And my experience is that the older the teachers are, the more traditional their methods are. And it's not like the old ways are completely bad or anything, but it's this. I have to say this is a little bit of an exaggeration.
Your final senior year of high school. Also, if you get your PhD, you have the option to get a sword and a top hat.
This is real. This is actually the hat and the sword thing is real.
Finland is actually a conscription country in which all men.
Yeah, the conscription thing is also.
Serve either in the military or civilian services, anywhere from 165 days to a year, depending on the type of service.
I think it's changing. I don't think it has changed yet, but I think the conscription. It used to be the minimum was 6 months, but I think they're actually thinking of shortening to 3 months now.
Mind your business and no small talk. The cartoon Finnish Nightmares illustrates this concept.
Finnish Nightmares. I like that. That's a funny one. All right, so he goes into great details about the wife carrying competition. I think there's a little bit of like, you know, tourist garbage thing. Like, yes, it's a real event, don't get me wrong, but it's not as big of a deal as he's making it out to be.
One thing about Finnish culture you have to know about sauna. The Finns invented the sauna. Most homes, hotels, and apartments have a sauna built into them. They actually had a sauna competition at one point, but then a Russian guy died and they had to kind of...
Yeah, this was kind of tragic. The reason he died was that he was taking painkillers in order to stay in the sauna longer, and then unfortunately it clearly had some adverse effects on him. And yes, my apartment does not have a sauna, but the apartment building does have, and you can reserve a time spot, but for obvious reasons right now, I'm not too keen on having, I don't like, personally I don't really like public saunas myself. Like, if it's at a summer home or, you know, something like that, you know, it's fine, but, you know, for me, like, the sauna isn't a complete must. I like it, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love it, but, you know, it's not an absolute must.
Mindset known as sisu. It's kind of hard to explain the exact definition of it, but it kind of means something like guts or determination.
That's a good explanation. Yeah, I think he got to the core of what sisu means. Sisu is also a brand of truck and a brand of, like, candy.
Diplomatically outreached countries in the world. I mean, the Finnish passport is the #1 ranked and most sought after, as it has the highest number.
I don't know about this fact because I think he said in another episode that some other country's passport was even more sought after, which I don't know. Yeah, the Swedish frenemy relationship. That's actually very interesting. That's another thing that I've been thinking about making a video out of. Yeah, we have a lot of luggage with Russia. I think with Russia, the thing to remember is that I think Finns do like Russians. We just don't like the guys who are in power in Russia. I guess that goes for everybody, really, though. I think he's exaggerating the Norwegian relationships because I don't think Finland has that much to do with Norway. We buy their trout, I think. Sorry, salmon. No, yeah, not trout, salmon. Norwegian salmon, I think, is very, very big in Finland. All right, so that was the video, and yeah, like I said, I really like this. Some of the things maybe have, you know, obviously because this was done in 2016, like it's a little. Some of the information is a little outdated, but not that much. It's actually still very, very good. All right, but yeah, I'm TheHande, and see you on the next one. Bye bye.